about wolf drives, which were actually coyote drives. How many people would be all in on one of those?
Oh, I expect 1,000 on some of them. Some of them 200 or 100. Some that didn't any show. And this one where the guy shot that kid. That's we started right around up here. I don't remember just where. And that is 5 miles east of Olathe where we round up.
How do you do those things? Do you all get in like a circle or a square or
circle? They just lay out the line where they're going to start. Crowd scatters itself. Nobody has anything to say about it or nothing. The crowd will just scatter and even up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't seem to be any problem. There'll be 2 or 3 that stay together, and I've done the same thing. Met somebody I knew or something, we'd stay together. Nothing to lose, you know. Cows got away, they got away. And but they spread out pretty well. And I don't know what to tell you about the old man out in Olathe and Gardener and the guy with the gun. Him and the neighbors up on the 2nd floor of his barn are cleaning the seed weed. And here come a guy down across his farm and headed for the cattle. And he went right on into the cattle, and his old man was getting kind of irked a little about it and rather scared or something. I don't know. I don't know what was bothering him about a gun. But he was paying attention, and the old boy come to an electric fence. He took a hold of it to step over it, and he hung on to it. Said he'd throw his gun away, and he'd hop over on one foot and back on the other foot, and he was straddling the thing. That old man, the guy up there with him, I guess they damn near died. When he got off and got his gun, he didn't stay. They bite you pretty good.
Was his juiced up more than most, or?
That old one we had made out of a coil, it bites you. But the ones we bought, they didn't hit you so hard. Sharp. They hit you hard, but they weren't sharp like that. That thing just sting you. And I had down by the well there, down there by Child's, and an old Jersey cow come down there and went up and licked that white knob 3 times, and she just back off, 90 to nothing, and stand there a while and look at it and go down there and lick it again. She licked it the 3rd time, then she took off over the hill. And then old John Man come down there with his beagles. One of the little old dogs got behind that wire between it and the woven wire fence. Just hollered his head off. Just terrible. And wouldn't jump out. He just stayed there.
What was that trick they played on Sam?
Oh, you better not cite that either. He went to a sale, and there's an old woven wire fence, and they tramped it down, probably a hog fence. They tramped it down so they could step over it. Well, we saw that quite often, you know. So he went down through there, and some of them knew him, called him over there and said, "We got that fence down there wired." Said, "Just sit down here on this bale," and they handed him the instrument.
What instrument? A crank or
a coil? And I don't know what they took it out of, but it had a crank on it. I don't know what it was for. But they said, you just sit down here, and if somebody gets on that fence you want to make holler, you just crank this. So here came old Sammy Hill. He lived right over here, but he's short and fast. And he went up there and straddled that fence, and Sam cranked it, and he was sitting on it. It burned him instead of old Sammy. It made him mad.
Was it baled? I guess you're using baling wire on the bale he was sitting on.
What about it?
Was it baling wire on the bale?
Oh, I don't know how they hooked him up. It might have been wire. They might have just had something laying on under him there. I never did hear that, how they did that, but said he was the one that was hooked up. It might have been holding the instrument, holding the coil, holding it and cranking it. Maybe that made him make contact. I don't know. But anyway, it made him mad. And that wolf drive where they killed that one, I told you, he had a rifle with him. That wasn't allowed at all. And the coyote, well, right along there, it was right over there across from where we used to live. And coyote went through the line and went on west and jumped the hitch fence. And he shot at it and killed it. He didn't know it. He didn't go back over there. But somebody down there the next day or two and said a dead coyote was. But Dan went with us. He had a 410. Some of them fussed about us bringing that kid with a gun. And I said, well, I can tell you something about that kid. I'll bet you $10 he'd not shoot you. And that ended it. They didn't take me up on it, any of it. And
so how many people got shot on these?
that's the only one I ever know of getting killed. I don't know that any of them ever got hit. Or well, that kid got hit over there. Wasn't much. Two buckshot in the calf of his leg.
And that was somebody shooting at a rabbit.
Yeah. I'd have sure knocked that silly bastard in the head with the butt of my gun if that'd been my kid. Old front Jim didn't say, just said something to the kid what for him to do to get over the fence or something. That's all he said about it.
Well, what about, where were these people, where were they from, the one guy got killed?
Well, it was imported from Europe. They worked up here at the boot factory, hired a boot factory. They used foreign help for years and years, imported them to make those boots. And some of these novels hire boots, cowboy novels that come out of it, hire boots.
That's the name of the company, Hire?
Yeah. And all the movie actors wore hire boots.
And they are made by foreigners.
Yeah. And one away from those handmade ones went to machinery. And I guess they quit importing foreign trade. Some of those people stayed here. And they hired women and everybody to work them. We knew one gal that worked up there for a long time, running a machine. And they went broke. Well, they put one of the, well, he'd be a grandson, I guess. That might have been the old man's son. They put him to handling distribution, and he hired a bunch of help and bought them cars or trucks and put them on territories. Didn't work. And they went broke. And there's another boot factory up here that was good, and they moved somewhere else, pulled down here and shipped their equipment somewhere, and they said they never did set it up. But Jack bought his boots there. He lived in Idaho, and he'd wear them 2 years and send them back for, just a few dollars. They'd overhaul them, I suppose, soles and heels. And he wore a pair of boots 4 years.
Jack was a little particular about the boots he wore.
And Kenneth got his up there, and I could wear either one of their boots. But they didn't give me any. I've got that pair in there, but they're not cowboy boots, they're flat heeled. I think I give $70 for them at a closeout.
Awful expensive nowadays.
But all boots are way back there cost $100. Handmade boots. You're stepping on me.
I was wondering what that piece of furniture was.
Put them on and wear them. It's just kind of awkward to walk in them and all stuff. Last time I wore them, I went to a sale and I didn't like them at all. So I haven't worn them since. They're sitting in there in the closet. They got a good, the thing you pull them off with. What do you call that?
Shoehorn? Not shoehorn.
No. It's got a name. I got one of them.
Boot
Lynn
puller.
shows up, I throw it in the bedroom. He uses it.
Yeah. But those, what were they, Dutch?
No, I don't think so.
Have they ever shot a gun before, or?
I doubt it. Rented guns. And everybody thought that they killed the one in the middle.
Coyote
Well,
ran
they knew
by?
they killed the one in the middle, but they just figured one of them did it. This gun just went off on fooling with it, you know. That coyote went through there close to them, and they probably all turned around. One of them pulled the trigger. Never was anything done about it. I know of.
Well,
Old Dudley had a street named after him. They hung him out here on Ridgeview.
they hung him?
Yeah, and they called the street Dudley till, just not long ago, they renamed it.
Why'd they hang him?
He's working on a farm over a little east and south of where Goldie was raised over there. A mile south and east a mile or two. And he killed the farmers and his wife. Stayed over there and hauled the grain to town and sold it. And I don't know how they come to catch him, but they did, and had him up there in jail, and they propositioned Sam to go with him. He was going to a while, and then he canceled out and didn't go, and the sheriff was out of town that night, and
Picked a good night to leave.
yeah, they went up there and got him. He needs it, had it coming to him all right. That's the only one I ever knew of around here. And they had to put metal on that pole because people come and cut chunks out of it. Got to cut it down. That was a telephone, I expect, line. Doubt if there's electricity out there. And we, over here east of Anita, electric line over there, and we wasn't on it. We moved down there to Childs, and the line come down to our front of our house and stopped, and we wasn't on it. And I went on down there to Fayola, and the line come down there and stopped. And they'd had the house wired, but the guy that owned it lost it, and he took the fixtures out of it, cut them off clear up against the ceiling. The darn fool had left us an end. But he had room to hook onto it, but he cut them off short. So I guess we set them down from up in the attic and got more room on them or something, I don't remember.
Was that the first time you had electricity? About what year was that?
Oh, we started over here in about 1933 or 4, but there wasn't any power line over here.
Mm-hmm.
Then I went over there about 3 years later, about 36, 7. We was over there 4 years, went up to 40. A little further back than that, because we lived down there at Childs 3 years, and then 4 years at Fayola, that's 7 years. We come up here in 46. Yeah, it'd be 38 or 9.
Here, you mean like Gardner?
Yeah, I come up to Gardener in 46. And there's a power line by there, and a long time before we got it, finally got it.
We're talking the house that
Burned down.
burned down. Okay, that was the first one you had that had power in it.
All that and down at Fayola, the lineman, he lived at Lewisburg, and
Mm-hmm.
he come in one day and wanted to know if I'd like to have that line hooked up. And I'd like to have it hooked up. So he come and helped me, went up in the attic, and we worked it. We was up there till our flashlights played out, trying to figure out how to hook it. The meter was in the back porch, and we couldn't figure out the wiring. Never did. He didn't. And it was quite a while before I figured it out. I'd done some wiring, and got up in there finally, and that guy was just running part of it through the meter. And we couldn't figure it out in order to hook it up so it'd work.
So he was going around the meter for part of it.
Part of the house was wired around the meter. But We got it ready and turned it on, and the old transformer boiled over. We ought to seen him get out there in a hurry. Got out there and got it shut off. Went to Lewisburg and got a new one brought out and put it up there. And he didn't get nothing out of it, only just his wages. Kind of surprised. But the guy over east of Bucyrus, west of Spring Hill, where in the hell was he? West of Bucyrus, I guess. And he lived on a crossroad down there. And he called Power and Light, talked to this lineman. He said he didn't have no electricity. He said that thing up there on the pole kept popping out. He said he pushed it back with a board several times, but it wouldn't stay. And that lineman about dropped dead. It was a stormy night, and it blowed his transformer. And he got out there with a board trying to push it back. And it don't take much moisture on something like a board to fight you, especially if you're standing on wet ground.
Mm-hmm.
It sure scared that lineman. He told me about it. Then, old John Bloom, he's a cattle trader. Him and the boys coming back from Kansas City, I guess, one night, and they went in the ditch. I think the boy was driving, he went to sleep, and the old man was asleep. And over there east towards the Bucyrus, and they got tangled up in the power line, broke it down. And they got out of their truck and walked on home about a mile. And the lineman come by next day, and they was over there at the tractor trying to pull that truck out from under that power line. And that scared him again. Said, Jesus Christ, killed them both. And so he got them out from under the power line. But just don't fool that stuff. I've got careless a time or two. Messing around, I went in there in the room the other day, and the lights was blinking, and took the cover off the switch, and it looked like the screw on the north side was loose. Didn't look like it screwed in tight. They're big-headed screws.
Mm-hmm.
So I went down out to the garage and got me a screwdriver with a plastic handle, and went in there, and I was going to, little screwdriver, and I was going to put it in the slot crossways and see if I could make it give in. Would it have to cut the fuel off, electricity off, and take it out to tighten it up. But I stuck it in there very carefully, but it touched the box and banged. And it kicked the breaker, though. It didn't blow the lights even.
Mm-hmm.
It kicked the breaker.
You're supposed to shut that power off before you play with it.
Yeah. But I had this plastic handle on the screwdriver, and I didn't get nothing out. That screwdriver flew away from me.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I jerked it, turned it loose anyway. I threw it out into the room.
Still.
But I just reached in there and very carefully was going to get in that slot and see if it'd give. And I don't know how it got against the box. I was watching close, so it didn't get against the box. But it did. It wasn't. It's only about that wide in there.
Well, turn it off next time,
Yeah.
just so you...
I learned, and I'm still here. When I was a kid, we'd go over to Roy Temple's there on Little Street a lot. I was less than 12 years old. And they had a socket out in the garage, and we'd go out there and dare each other to put her finger in there. And one day it was raining. We was out there, and somebody got the notion we better not put her finger in there. The feet wet, we got bit. But we just dare each other and do it. I don't know how a damn kid ever lives to be big enough to know better. We've done more stuff, but he's got older and looked back at it. He's crazy. Where'd that damn bird? She'd throw us off and turn around and kick at us. She'd hit us, she'd knock her head off. And I had her on the spring wagon, and I guess Bob maybe was a baby, little baby. He was born over there. And We was out in the pasture, had that old burr on a spring wagon, and this Roy Temple was with me, and he's holding Bob. The damn burr run away with us. Took off down across the pasture and headed for where the cattle crossed the ditch. Pretty good ditch, down probably 18 inches deep or something, and just not too wide. And a couch was trailed through it. He was headed for that. Old Roy was standing up ready to jump with the kid. And I dropped one line, and I didn't throw him out, but I just dropped one line and I sat down on the other and pulled the old donkey's head around, and she turned, went around the circle. I got her stopped. And, but I don't know. I feel like I've been pretty lucky.
What was up? You're working at the ironworks up there, turning. Somebody would hang on to your suspenders while you.
Oh yeah, on the treating those absorbers. Yeah, 40 foot in the air, cold weather. You had one morning.
Using a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
To turn bolts.
Wrench, move the wrench. That one morning, I think that I must have got up there. Well, there's 3 of us a while, and then I only had 2. My boss come over there and said something about that being slick up there, and we told him, yeah, it's slick, and said, we'll get down off of there. That's the only day we missed in 3 weeks, January and February. But old Red, he'd just stand up there and straddle that hip between his legs. Well, the wrench was sticking out there, and he'd stand straddle of it and lean over and hit it. After they jarred him loose, well, you could turn it with a wrench or with your fingers, you know. You had to jar it loose because that's the way we put it on. We put that wrench on, pulled it tight as we get it, and then hit it with a sledgehammer. That sledgehammer wasn't too heavy, but could overbalance it. But I was insured, I guess. I've been lucky with cars. Had some close ones. Goldie had 2 up in Olathe that hit parked cars. And then she went down there to Mildred Herman's, and somebody wanted to move their car, and she got an hour and drove it up, and there's an old iron kettle that's sitting there, and she tore the side of the car on it, cost $100. And then she was up in Olathe, and her groceries turned over or something, and she was fooling with them and hit a parked car. But I don't think it cost us anything. And she'd have been going slow. And Oliver had one up in Olathe. Down the hill did it happen. I can't remember what it was, right there in front of Norris' drugstore, right up in town. Oh, bicycle. Three kids on bicycles ahead of us going up the street. Was going pretty slow, and was watching for a place to park. And railroad old streetcar track is still in the street. Streetcars quit, but they still had the tracks there. They get up there about Norris's, and I was looking for this place to park, and I looked back, and there's only 2 kids ahead of me. So I stopped right there. And he's under the bumper.
Did you hit him, or?
Oh, he slid on that rail. Bicycle hit that old streetcar rail and skidded, upset him, and I drove a straddle of him. Didn't hurt him a bit, but another foot or 2 might have killed him. Got him underneath, especially on his bike. If he hadn't had his bike, I might have straddled him and not hurt him. But if I didn't run over him with a wheel. And then I was down the next block. I was going slow. A kid come running down the sidewalk and jumped out in the street and crossed the street and run right into the side of the car, just bang. Right back of the driver's door. No, he's got farther because I put my hand on him, pushed him away. But he'd already hit the car. I pushed him back and he went around the front of the car and got on the sidewalk and went on down the sidewalk as fast as he could go. I don't know where he was going or what was the matter with him.
Well,
But like I say, I think we've been, then they had an old Ferris wheel up there, right on the south side of the square, and I was down in the block west. I don't know why, unless it maybe parked down there or something. And then the old wheel was just wandering around as it turned. And it was a big, big one. And I told everybody I saw, stay away from that damn Ferris wheel. It's going to come apart. It didn't. They just pin them. See, they haul them in sections, and when they put them together, they just drop pins in the holes, lock pins of some kind. But some kids, you turn the lock back on them, or anything, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we ever let Dan ride in it anymore.
Now, this house over here in Gardner, the one that burned down, when did you move there?
46. All this.
Who had the place before you did?
Oh, some river rat. He's farming on government money. His dad lived up around the corner, and his mother and his dad were pretty nice people. This boy wasn't nothing. He cultivated his corn after it tasseled. I got 60 bushel off that farm, 60 bushel of corn off that whole farm that year. And I got some oats, and he didn't bale my ass of hay, so he said he'd combine it, and he didn't combine it and get no seed off of it, didn't get nothing off the hay field. And he said he paid the insurance company the pasture rent. They wrote me a letter and said he hadn't paid, so for me to collect it and keep it. And he just swore him down. He paid the company. Although he didn't have no money. Had an old junk car, and his wife had a friend that come out there all the time. He'd get in that car usually right afternoon, and he's gone all afternoon just driving around, I guess. I don't know where they went. Both of them big old fat gals. And we was there one time, and the little old kid his nose was running and bleeding. He was just stuff running out of his nose and running down his face. And I can't think Boyd and Mary Margaret were here and out there with us. And about got Mary Margaret's goat and walked away somewhere. And Cody and I just went talking about when we move into these people. That was about the meanest thing I ever did.
Hold it. Run that by me again.
His nose was running and bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
Blood mixed in with the stuff coming out of his nose.
Mm-hmm.
And Mary Margaret saw him and about made her sick. But when I went out of the house and was leaving, I just started talking to Goldie about when we move into these people.
Yeah, so that Mary Margaret...
That's worse than seeing the kid.
So, who was that being mean to? Being mean to Goldie or being mean to Mary Margaret?
Mary Margaret. Goldie knew better. He wasn't going to move in there with him. Didn't even like to come on and drive in there with them living there.
So you bought it from them, or?
No, they didn't own nothing. Bought it from an insurance company back east. Through the bank. Through the bank.
They were just tenants.
Yeah. And it's living on government money. And he was all bindweed. The government got a notion to pin bindweed and kill it. And there used to be quite a bit of it around. And they had a old M International with 3 sweeps on it. Blade that goes each way.
Mm-hmm.
And the 3 of them made it as wide as the tractor. And I wanted to work the ground back there for wheat, back where the hay field is.
Mm-hmm.
There west of the building up on that hill. So he worked it with that thing, and for free, for paying me on the rent and what he owed me and such. He charged me, but the county was paying him. There was weed up there, vine up there, and but it may have been wet when he did it. Anyway, it was turned off dry. I took the disc up there and disked it, but it just cut it up. The disc is 7 inches between plates and just cut it in 7-inch chunks. I went in there and planted wheat. I couldn't work it up because those chunks was all hard. Evidently worked it when it's wet, and when it dries, it turns hard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a hell of a mess. We planted wheat on it. I planted grass on it the next year, and it's still in grass. Since '58, it's been in grass.
Hmm. So you know anything about the history of that house? Like who built it and when?
I haven't. Hunt lived there. It's a Hunt farm. Old Battler lived there. Died out there. And I don't know ahead of him. I just supposed to always been Hunt. I never knew. He was dead and gone. He had a brother that lived west of Olathe that's still alive. I didn't know him. He gave his wife a beating, and the neighbors found it out. They went up there to talk to him about it, and they couldn't find him. He was hiding in the cornfield. Not the one out there, his brother. He wasn't hid in the cornfield. He lived right there close to his daughter. He married a guy named Newhart. He's a mail carrier, Newhart was.
Well, do you know anything about this Klingscale Pass?
Yeah, quite a little. I have to think of the name of the people. But they come up in Nebraska, and old veterinary down here come to Nebraska. He's friends with these people, and he got them to move down here. One of them come down. They built the Enser house. And
Which house?
Enser, old Marshall Enser, where you never went over there. He had a museum in there, old tools and things.
Oh, I've been over there.